And as to this section, section 1, last but not least, I would like to call Director Marcin Wielec to deliver his presentation. And the title of the presentation is The Dilemma of a Positive Invention Regarding the Foundations of the Right to Privacy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at the first conference of our research group in June this year on the subject of the right to privacy, I had the great honor and pleasure to present to you the results of my research on the very interesting institution of the secrecy of confession. As you remember, I analyzed in the term of protection and implementation of the right to privacy, but in the area of criminal proceedings. It is no without reason that I choose this institution as the hero of my lecture, because it focuses the essence of the right to privacy in the highest level of protection. As you remember, using the hero of my June lecture, the aforementioned secret of confession, treating this institution as some kind of research matrix, I determined that there are in the case several elements closely related to each other and functioning in the broadly understood area of the right to privacy. This allowed me to formulate, as you remember, some final research conclusion. In the first part of the lecture, I established what are its privacy features, especially in the context of the repressive profile of criminal proceedings. Among this defining characteristic of privacy, I have indicated the first feature. It is autonomy, because privacy is a sphere free from external interference, autonomous in which everyone has the right to have a minimum of intimacy towards the outside world. I have indicated second feature of privacy. It is self-existence, because privacy is an element that exists independently of something else. It creates a separate, unrelated wall, which is a constant and unchanging feature of human society. I have indicated the third feature of privacy. It is intimacy, because privacy is a sphere of seclusion for every individual. With the individual using his privacy creates his own personality, decide of personal matters when she wishes, and also protects and defends privacy when it is violated. Finally, I point out the fourth feature of privacy. It is naturalness, because privacy is a kind of reasonable freedom as a feature of something that is proper, a person doing something in an ordinary and enforced way. In the second part of my lecture, I have already entered the area of the right to privacy. Here are strictly legal issues, because the term right to privacy is a term clearly referring into the area of law. About the Polish legal system, in which there are legal regulations devoted to the protection and implementation of the right to privacy, will be told us in detail Dr. Bartłomiej Ręziak. I will only short mention that in the Polish legal system, the first highest hierarchical level of respect of the right to privacy are, of course, the provision of the Polish Constitution. The provision of the Polish Constitution providing example protection and the principle of respecting the right to privacy in the form of a number of guarantees, such as personal inviolability, protection of private life, protection of relation in the form of the secrecy of communication, integrity of the apartment, protection and freedom of conscience and religion, and etc. In the third part of my lecture, finally, we got to know that the characteristic of the most controversial area of legal regulation, in example, criminal law, especially criminal proceedings, where the right to privacy does not quite fit, because in criminal proceeding, most of the manifestation of privacy are basically eliminated. And the fourth part of the lecture, I confront these earlier elements with the institution of the secrecy of confession. The conclusion was simple. There are special institutions in the law, such as the secrecy of confession, which, in my opinion, are the highest ranking examples of respect for the right to privacy in criminal proceedings. Today, I would like to present to you a continuation of my thoughts and analyses devoted to the right to privacy. So, what is this little dilemma of a positive invention? How does he relate to the right to privacy? What is the relation of the right to privacy to the dilemma of the positive invention? In the light of above, let me explain this on the example of the three people. Three people. This hero of my lecture today, as a research matrix, will be this time Marie Curie Skłodowska, Alfred Nobel, and László József Bíró. I know I don't have to introduce these three people to anyone, but I will only briefly mention that Marie Curie Skłodowska is Polish-French winner of the Nobel Prize in Physics and Chemistry for her research of phenomenon of radioactivity. Alfred Nobel, Swedish chemist, engineer, industrialist, inventor of the dynamite. László József Bíró, Hungarian inventor and journalist. He is credited with inventing the pen in its present form. Each of these people has contributed something positive to human history through their discoveries and their inventions. The first character, Marie Curie Skłodowska, gave humanity radioactivity. The positive side of this invention are in the destructive effects of radiation is used in medicine, example X-rays. The negative side of this invention is radiation is generally very harmful and dangerous for the human body. The second character, Alfred Nobel, he gave humanity dynamite, which has positive side because you can build faster, develop industry, but also negative sides, because bombs were built on the base of dynamite. It can also sow destruction. And third character is László Bíró, who gave humanity a popular pen with which you can create beauty and goodness, poems and drawings, sing autographs and write books, but you can also commit a crime. An example, forgery. In Polish Criminal Code, this is crime under the provision of 217 on the Criminal Code, which is punishable by imprisonment from 3 months to 5 years. In 2020, according to police statistics in Poland, above 17,000 such crimes were committed. And now I think you're wondering what this right to privacy has to do with this the dilemma of a positive invention. Well, as you see, all three people give us something positive, but also with element of negative effects. Last year, we dealt with, as you remember, the phenomenon of fake news. It is by definition a negative phenomenon. There are no positive sides. Judging today's times, it seems to me that we are currently on the threshold of the unknown. Time is accelerating a lot. There are more and more new type inventions that consume privacy standards. This invention often not only interfere with our privacy, but also destroy this privacy. The messenger of this unknown are these mentioned inventions in the broad sense of the word as modern technologies. Among their things, as part of our research in the research group, we conducted an analysis of the relationship existing between new technologies and the right to privacy, of course. Both contain positive and negative qualities. Modern technologies make our life easier. Algorithms make choosing easier. But on the other hand, these modern technologies are also a strong interference in our privacy. And here we have a kind of dilemma of positive invention. If we assume that an invention is a new, original, technical, organizational solution of an utilitarian nature, the creation of which has the characteristic of the creative act, then modern technologies, as a collective term, undoubtedly fit into the concept of the invention. If we assume that the dilemma is a problem whose solution consists in a difficult choice between two equally important reasons, then we can slowly see what the theory of the positive invention is all about. In this context, for example, modern technologies, which at the first glance, as a new invention of humanity, should bring only benefits to society, but together with them bring huge threats, especially in the area of the broadly understood privacy. That is why nowadays privacy itself in the area of the new invention new waves of communication, social media, increasing the importance of big data, is experiencing a huge renaissance. Sorry? Okay. Therefore, the dilemma of the positive invention is a situation in which the creation of anything determines the benefits and risks. This is the situation in which, under the wings of positive expectation and affects comfort and, in the same time, discomfort arise. Nowadays, there is no doubt that the aforementioned renaissance of the right to privacy has its source in dynamics of the development of human society. The humanity and in it the individual needs a free area for his life. Important questions arise. Whether everything related to a person's privacy, whether privacy should be guarded at all costs, whether privacy is a commodity, whether privacy has a price, and finally, whether privacy is in relation to the security of the state, is not used as screen to achieve goals contrary in the public interest. It is the new technologies that are the positive invention. And the dilemma is that modern technologies will not only facilitate the life of the community, but also interfere with it, as a result of which there may be violation of privacy. The new technologies are also entering in my research area. I mean the area of criminal proceedings. On the one hand, often giving unlimited possibilities to public authorities and helping to combat crime on the other. For example, new technologies mean not only, in example, facilitating online criminal proceedings, but also new surveillance possibilities in criminal proceedings, which is obvious and important from the point of view of the right to privacy. One of the forms of surveillance is the control and recording and conversation, more broadly surveillance activities. I have no doubt that the control and recording conversation, after all, directly interfere with the privacy of the individual. On the other hand, the control and consolidation of conversation is also an element of effective fight against the most serious crimes. Therefore, the Polish legislator equipped the services and law enforcement agencies whose task is to ensure the security of the state with new, numerous methods of surveillance work. On the other hand, we must remember that operational control strongly interferes with the right to privacy of an innocent person. Increasingly, in this context, there are ideas to prohibit or limit the use of the surveillance activities, evoking the right to privacy. Increasingly, the right to privacy sometimes becomes a kind of metal screen. You know, such an iron curtain. The iron curtain of the right to privacy falls whenever one tries to use the essence, the positive sides of the right to privacy as a block for certain activities. You can do something then because the right to privacy will be violated. Recently, in Poland, I told there was a very serious discussion on surveillance activities in criminal proceedings, which due to modern technologies still have a completely different from today. These modern technologies in this case will be famous in Poland, Pegasus software. The essence of this discussion, in a nutshell, is expressed in the question, should we not ban surveillance activities because they violate the right to privacy? Of course, they violate and will always violate. Are surveillance activities needed? Yes, of course, they are needed. The essence of surveillance activities is to enter the private sphere and sectorally intercept information significant to prevent the commission of a crime. In organized crime, the efficient transmission of information is a condition for effective action. One of the conditions for counteracting criminal intention is to break this barrier of confidentiality and read and reach the content of the information provided, often oscillating around privacy. Interference in such a sensitive matter determines the need to adopt regulation that will be legible and accessible to all citizens. There must be a balance between privacy and the public interest, especially in area criminal procedure. Therefore, in Polish criminal law system, they use the surveillance activities. Activities is correct and clear by. First, limited subjectively. In example 1, certain entities can perform it. Second, objectively, only in relation to specific crimes or exceptionally tax offenses. Third, there must always be a statutory basis, in example, Police Act or the Code of Criminal Procedure. Fourth, such materials could not be obtained otherwise. Fifth, a specific procedure is laid down for the acquisition, preservation, use, and destruction of materials thus obtained. In short, in Polish law, this use of this type of activity is always approved by the court at the request of the authorities entity, and only the court has the competence to extend the period of application of the inspection. Only after obtaining the court's consent to use such material, this material is made available to the prosecutor for use, in example, in the preparatory proceedings. Then, after the case has been referred to court, it is still subject to the assessment the court contains in the grounds of the judgment. We see the right to privacy is not an absolute right, because in the area of criminal proceedings, where the public interest plays the main role, the right to privacy may be eliminated due to the security to the state and the security of the citizens. This is the case with the right to privacy, which, like any guarantee, should be treated simply rationally. One of the most important duties of modern states is to ensure adequate protection of the need to human privacy, to set limits on legally permissible interference in it. These boundaries, in my opinion, are defined by three elements as regards the area of the criminal proceedings. First, public interest. Second, clearly powers to position of the main authorities of criminal procedure. 30, a clear procedure for learning privacy. 40, an assessment of the need to enter into privacy based on the rationality. Final remarks. First remarks, the right to privacy does not have a uniform structure. Everything depends on where privacy will have to be known. Otherwise, privacy will be protected and used in the area of private law. Otherwise, privacy will be protected and used in the area of public law. In the area of public law, privacy will often be confronted with the public interest, and violation of it will be justified by the protection of the public interest. And in the area of private law, it is the opposite, because privacy should be protected here through the public interest, in the scope of which there is undoubtedly an efficient law which individuals from interference in their privacy by stronger companies, corporations, and monopolies. Thank you very much.